friends, it's Christy. Welcome to day 7 of my 2018 holiday card series. Today I'm going to be making a card using the adorable Snow Play stamp set from Hello Bluebird. I've chosen 3 of the penguins in this set, plus the cardinal and a snowball, and stamped those out in Memento Tuxedo Black ink on some Copic friendly cardstock. I'll be coloring with my Copic markers today. For the outside of all 3 of the penguins' bodies, I'll be using C3, C5, and C7. I'm starting with the C7 and laying in some shadows on each of these guys. And I'm also going to add some color to the area around the eye on the cardinal. Typically, I like to use warm grays for animals and cool grays for inanimate objects like watering cans or anything metal, but I decided to switch it up today since the pattern paper that I'm going to be using on today's card has some cool grays in it, so I wanted them to match. And also in this case, they live in an area where it's very chilly, obviously, so the cool grays are going to have that cold feeling to them. So now I'm coming in with the C5, which is my mid-tone, and pulling that darker color out a bit. So they're not going to look completely black. If you wanted to, you could use the C9 as well, and then they'd be quite a bit darker. But I feel like the softer tone just makes them look a little bit more cuddly and cute. I think it just adds to the overall look of these images, as they are so darling. If you were interested in picking up just one holiday set from Hello Bluebird, this is a great one because it has so many images in it. It's got 4 different penguins, a couple of reindeer, another cardinal, and the cutest little mouse you ever saw, and then a bunch of sentiments and accessory images. It's a really great set. So now I'm coming in with the C3, and that's going to be my highlighted shade, and I'm going to fill in all the rest of the outer area. For their faces and bellies, I'm going to use C0 and C1. I want them to look white, not gray, so I'm going to be really soft with these shades. I'm using the C1 to draw in a little bit of shadow on the outer edge of their faces, underneath their scarves, and alongside their flippers or wings. I'm not sure what they're called on a penguin. And then I'm going to soften that up with the C0, just kind of flicking that color towards the center and letting it fade off into white. And then I will also come in with my colorless blender and soften up the edge of that C0, just so it looks extra white. For their beaks and feet, I'm going to use YR07, and I'll color in the cardinal's beak as well with that shade. I'm just going to use the 1 marker for these areas since they're so super tiny. You could add in a second one, but I don't think it would be very noticeable. And then just to make them extra cute and give them that chilly look, I'm going to use the RV10 to give the penguins some rosy cheeks. I'm going to skip the cardinal because he's going to be black and red, and so it wouldn't show up anyway. Speaking of red, I'm going to use my absolute favorite combo. I'm using R29, R39, and R59. And I really wanted this color palette on today's card to be very simple, so I'm going to color in all of the penguins' hats and scarves red as well. So I'm starting with the RV59, and I'm using quite a bit more of it than I typically do. I'm purposely being heavy-handed because, again, the pattern paper that I'm going to be using on today's card has a darker red shade. So I really wanted to emphasize that and color to match. Now I'm coming in with the R39 and pulling that color forward, and once again I'm being a little bit more heavy-handed than I normally would be, pulling that further out and just leaving smaller areas for that R29. Sometimes I find it kind of fun to challenge myself to limit my color palette, even though there's so many great colors of Copics and you have a tendency to want to use them all. I just think it can really push you outside of the box to try to limit yourself and see what you can do with a simple color palette. So aside from the tiny pops of orange and pink and a tiny bit of blue that I'm going to add next, the card is going to be predominantly gray and red and white. So for the snowball and the trim on the first penguin's hat, I'm going to use BG10 and BG11. First the BG11 and then softening that with the BG10. And then I will come in with a little bit of colorless blender just on the penguin's hat. And then I'll trim these out with the matching dies. I've cut down a snowdrift using the MFT Hit the Slopes Dynamics for the top edge, and then the Elegant Rectangle Stacks Dynamics for the bottom, just to give it a little bit of a shape to it. And I'm taking some Lawn Fawn Hippo ink and stamping out my sentiment that says, "'Tis the season to be jolly." And then while I have my MISTI out, I'm also going to stamp on the inside of my card. I'm using the fourth little penguin and the cardinal and a couple of snowflakes and the sentiment that says, "Merriest wishes to you." I've also cut out my focal panel with the Lawn Fawn Stitch Circle Stackables, and I'm going to stamp some snowflakes on that as well. And the cardstock I'm using is Cement Gray from MFT, and that's the same that I used for my card base. I'll add some liquid glue to the back of my snowdrift and line that up right over top of my focal panel, and then I can begin to adhere my images. I'm going to take the penguin with his arms up in the air and stick him over on the right hand side. And then I've got this other little penguin with the hat. He's going to go on the left. And I want it to look like they're going to have a snowball fight. So I'm going to take another image from that stamp set that looks like flying snow, and I'm going to stamp that down with the same hippo ink that I used for the snowflakes and stamp that right next to his hand. Then I'll add a dab of glue to the focal panel right after that and set my snowball into place right on top. My third penguin is going to go down towards the bottom next to the sentiment, so he's watching everything that's going on. And then the same with the cardinal. I'm going to pop that up right on top of the sentiment, so he's looking up at that flying snowball as well. All of my pattern papers came from the My Mind's Eye Winterberry collection, and I've trimmed those down with several Lawn Fawn dies. The two rectangles are using the Stitch Rectangle Stackables, and then the dark red snowflake print was trimmed out with the Stitched Scallop Border dies. So I adhered the candy cane print flat to the card to cover the entire card front, which is an A2 standard size card. And then the black and white plaid went right over top. And then this red and white snowflake print is going to go down towards the bottom edge of the card. I've added some Scotch 3M foam tape to the back of my focal panel to give that some lift off the rest of the card. I'm going to line that up with the right hand side and press that down into place. Then I'll grab some crystal stickles and add a little bit to the bottom edge of my snowball and the top edge of my snowdrift. And then I'm going to dot in some extra snowflakes on my background. As a final embellishment, I'm going to take some Pretty Pink Posh sparkling clear sequins in the 4, 6, and 8 millimeter sizes and add a few of those to my card. I have 3 on the top left corner and 2 on the bottom right. And then once those have had a little bit of chance to dry, I'm going to bring in some Christmas red stickles and just fill in the centers of those sequins. It's just another chance to add a bright pop of color with that gorgeous red. And that is going to complete our card for today. I'm going to lift that up to the camera so you can see all that pretty sparkle and shine. And I'll give you another peek at the inside as well. So I hope you guys have enjoyed day 7 of my 2018 holiday card series. If you did, please be sure to give the video a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You can also hit that notification bell if you want to be sure that my videos always end up in your feed. There's going to be lots more videos in this series before Christmas comes. If you want to keep watching, here's 2 videos from day 7 of the previous 2 years of holiday card series. So you can click on either one of those if you'd like. So thank you guys so much again for watching. I hope you all have an amazing day. Bye-bye.